We've talked before about using keyboards on the Switch, but today is something a little bit different and takes it a bit of a step farther. This is the Gamesir VX aim switch. Now, Gamesir has made a number of keyboards like this that are paired with mice that are used for PC and mobile, but the VX is different in that it actually works on PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch. Now, when I say this works on the Switch, I don't mean it in the same sense that we've talked before with keyboards where you can hook up to the Switch and use it for typing, which doesn't really have a whole lot of use in the US right now. There aren't any games that need that. This actually maps itself on your Switch and works like a regular controller, enabling you to play games with a keyboard and mouse setup. Now, we're going to talk about the full possible ramifications of something like this a little later, but for now, let's just look at the product itself. So this is the left half of a keyboard. You can use it just for your left hand, and it has all the buttons you would need, along with these 4 buttons here on the side. Now, what these are used for is for adjusting the sensitivity of the mouse for whether you're doing hip shooting or for aiming down sights. Specifically, the idea is this is what it's being used for in first-person shooter games. So when you're not holding down the aim button, this button here is going to affect how easy it is to look around and move with the mouse, whereas if you are holding down the aim button, these ones are going to adjust the sensitivity while you're in that mode. Meanwhile, on the mouse side, you have all the traditional setups here. We have the left and right click, a center scroll wheel that can also click down, 2 side buttons, which are normally mapped to the front shoulder buttons on most controllers, and then there's also a DPI adjustment back here. The build quality on both of these is pretty solid, and in fact, the keyboard itself actually uses blue mechanical switches, so it's giving you that little bit of pushback and that very satisfying clickety-clack sound. Now, setting this up is very simple. It varies a little bit from system to system, and the Switch in particular is actually one of the easiest ones that you can do. All you need to take is the wireless dongle attachment that comes with this, plug it into the Switch, put the keyboard into Switch mode, and that's it. You're done. Now, I've only played with this enough to really make sure that it works, that the setup is working properly, and that I can use it on the Switch. Let's go ahead and actually do a real test and try it out in Fortnite. All right, so we're in a match. Before we start dealing with having to survive other players, real quick, for this setup that I'm just using the preset key configuration this guy has. You can customize it using a separate mobile app, but by default, the layout actually, for the most part, makes sense. I don't know if it's gonna apply to every single game you try, but everything I've done so far, it works well. But of course, you can always fine tune for personal preference. Yeah, moving the mouse actually feels pretty natural. You don't have the same sense of like actual mouse acceleration because it's just acting like a control stick, but yeah, that feels not weird. Not as weird as it should be. Wow, that person was really not good. You definitely need to use this guy for a while before feeling really comfortable, because even when your brain is like, yeah, you just have to press like B to pick something up, or it's not B, it's like X. But you see that prompt, and if you haven't been using this long enough, it's like, wait, which key is that again? But I mean, it's all very snappy and responsive. I'm playing right now and it doesn't feel like there's any real input lag. I have good refined control of just looking around. I'm honestly really surprised that this is going as smoothly as it did. I really expected there to be some kind of more noticeable input lag, or I don't know, just more confusion on my part, but it really works. I need to find more people. It feels like it. I mean, there's maybe a tiny bit of input lag, but it's pretty minute. And honestly, that's probably more due to the TV we're using than this. Okay, so I finally died, and I'm still not very good at Fortnite, but the important point here is while I was alive and still playing, this felt normal. Like entirely. Like if I didn't know that I was on a Switch, this just felt like a standard keyboard and mouse setup without any problems. I mean, I had a few mix-ups with my inputs where I would forget which key was bound to which Switch input, but once kind of just getting that stuff, just through repetition, it just felt like playing normally. There wasn't any kind of real input lag or weird issues at all. Even just looking around and using with the mouse felt fine. And even if it felt a little slow or a little fast, I could still adjust it on the fly with these buttons over here. Like, using something like this isn't going to just flat out make you better at a game, because you still need to know how to play properly and have proper awareness and map knowledge. But as far as just helping with the straight up use of aiming, moving, and firing, I mean, this felt better, for sure. Now, of course, we can't talk about a product like this without bringing up a pretty big issue that a lot of people have, which is the debate of whether or not using something like this, a keyboard and mouse for console, is considered cheating in a competitive game. I mean, if you want to buy this to use on your Switch with Skyrim, playing single player, great, go for it, do what you want to do. But if you're playing something like Fortnite, is that an unfair advantage, and is it technically cheating? There are some very heated arguments about this very idea, and what it mostly boils down to is the idea of, Is it just another expensive product that's giving you an advantage like anything else you can get? I mean, after all, people can get advantages by buying nicer headphones, using a better monitor or TV, using a pro controller instead of a standard one. Is this just another step in that same kind of logic? And after all, there are a lot of games out there that are even now supporting crossplay. If you're playing Fortnite on Switch, but you're going against people on PC that are using keyboards, why can't you too? Where this can get a little dicey though is the fact that you're using keyboard and mouse on a platform that's designed to, well, honestly, handicap players a little bit because they are traditionally using controllers. Oftentimes, console versions of games do have some degree of aim assist to help balance out the fact that a control stick is not as precise as a mouse. So if you're playing a console version of a game while still getting the precision of a mouse, is that unfair? Now, me personally, I do lean towards the idea that if you are using something like this for a online competitive game, you're not doing it just for fun, you're not doing it in single player stuff, yeah, that is a pretty significant advantage and borders on cheating. But the circumstances of that are starting to change because once again, the whole problem with this isn't that you're using a really good controller, it's that you're using a controller that has this kind of precision while still having the benefits of handicaps built into the game for, traditional controllers. So if we hit the point where more games are starting to embrace the idea of using a keyboard and mouse and just gets rid of those benefits, then something like this is honestly super cool. And you're already seeing this start to happen with a lot of other systems. I mean, Xbox specifically is already running a program where you can use keyboards on the Xbox One, and you can use it for specific games that are designed to allow it to be used. Right now, that is only Warframe, but that list will supposedly increase with time. And to me, that's something that's really exciting because I love the idea of being able to embrace using all different kinds of controllers on console, not just traditional ones. Don't get me wrong, I love using a traditional gamepad, and I still use it most of the time because I find it to be the most comfortable, especially if I just want to play something really laid back. But if I'm doing something competitive, why not use something that's a more precise tool? I mean, after all, if I'm playing a fighting game, I'm going to use a fight stick most of the time, not a gamepad. Why can't that apply to FPS games as well? Either way, this is a really cool little keyboard and mouse combo. It was super easy to set up. It was really easy to switch between using it on the Switch versus the PS4 or the Xbox One. I think it's a really handy controller. It's just whether or not you feel comfortable using it in a competitive game. Single player? Awesome. Pick this thing up. Multiplayer? Let us know. Let me know down below in the comments. What do you think? Is it cheating to use something like this? Is it not cheating? Why? Let us know. See you guys later.